boy, nothing like a Saturday morning on a Memorial Day weekend to get together with Paul. How are you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm good too, thanks. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood here. How's it back your way?
It's cloudy and rainy, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. Keep people inside for a little bit longer.
Well, they say the sun deactivates the virus. Maybe the rain washes it away too.
Yeah, we should be so lucky.
Hey, well, thanks for participating in this. It's I've done video interviews before, but this was kind of cool because it's a whole Leaders Who Care series, recognizing leaders who do care and why it's important. And we've got a great network that it's going out to now around the world. So I'm pretty sure you'll add value to this. I'm pretty sure. So let's start with, if you could, just briefly introduce yourself and a little bit about you.
My name is Paul Scialla, founder and CEO of Delos, and founder of the International Wellbeing Institute.
Pretty good. That's pretty brief. I like that. Family, tell me a tiny bit about family.
I live in New York City, graduate of NYU, spent 18 years on Wall Street prior to launching Delos. I've got a twin brother who's also part of the company now. He just had a baby girl, and my sister just had a baby girl as well. So I'm an uncle now 6 times over.
All right, good for you. I used to be married to a twin, but that's probably more information than anybody really wants to know here. So, hey, I always like to know why people are doing things, the infamous why, but tell me, really, why do you do what you do?
Well, an observation made a while back, actually my phone here, let me just find that, sorry buddy. An observation we made a while back was there was a lot of great work being done in the sustainability movement with regards to environmental impact, and we felt half the story was missing with regards to people and all the people inside our buildings. When you think of the green building efforts, great work again on the energy side, but given we're spending over 90% of our lives indoors, temporarily probably 98% of our lives indoors, but given we're spending most of our time inside, whether that's our homes, our offices, our schools,
right,
we wanted to merge the health sciences with the building sciences and create a wellness real estate platform and a well-building movement.
Yeah, it's so cool. You know how much I believe in what you do, and it's amazing to me how it's taken literally decades for leaders, corporate leaders, to recognize that social impact, aligning with social impact, actually is good for business. Aside from the fact that you now, especially, you get the best talent by caring about that. So, as you said, you've been deeply engaged in the investment world. You've made a major commitment of purpose to well-being, basically. A little bit of a push question. With all that said, what really differentiates you as one of the leaders who care?
Well, I'm sorry, my phone is ringing here. Let me just mute that for you.
It's real life. I've had dogs on people's laps, kids come in, it's all good.
There we go. What differentiates me? Well, I got to tell you, the passion behind this has been infectious, not only for myself, but when people hear the narrative and hear the story, I think it just comes from a root of true belief and a bunch of optimism about how much can be done here from a societal standpoint, from an economic standpoint. It's pretty compelling.
Did you set this up so you would have to prove to me that you really were busy?
This is every day.
I know.
We have been put in a position, candidly, globally here, that the world needs solutions. When you merge the health and the building sciences for this long, and put enough evidence and take an approach that is provable, scalable, and implementable. I can't tell you what the last 2 months have been like. It's just been every company, landlord, tenant, student housing, senior housing, hotels, they're all coming to us saying, look, we get it. And we need to know what the right interventions are here to upgrade our spaces so they're better and healthier for people.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I've been thinking about my grandparents a lot. I wrote an article in LinkedIn about how we need to care more about health. And my grandparents always used to say, and I'm sure yours and others have said, the Jewish Italian grandmothers, they're all about the same thing anyway. They say, with a Kiev accent, as long as we have our health, that's the most important. And if you think about it, technology is zooming. COVID, social, economic impact up the wazoo. People are reflecting a little more about what our grandparents said about, wow, what really is important. So with respect to that, how do you view what's going to happen now with work, with actually doing business and well-being in general around the world?
I think what people are becoming more and more aware of by the day, clearly it took something like this to take the learning curve to zero, is that the idea of what surrounds you matters. Okay, what you touch matters. In fact, when you consider the built environment, all of these elements that surround us, air quality, water quality, lighting, thermal, acoustics, they all have a direct impact on our health, our well-being, our chronic health outcomes, our productivity, our comfort, our satisfaction. And so, what we had been looking at for quite some time has become front and center here, particularly as it pertains to COVID-19, this particular pathogen. Folks are really in tune now that this 15 cubic feet around a person is a real big determinant of that person's health outcomes.
Yeah, and the young people are part of this movement. Every generation has they want to rebel and make a difference and all that. But this one, right time, right place, without a COVID even, it was happening, and now it's gone crazy. And I wonder, I look at leaders and I wonder what you would say about the role that they're playing, because it is going to take business leaders who do care about this to move things forward. In fact, a quick thing, I interviewed an executive recently who said, it's great that I actually now have the time to care. And I'm not making that as an excuse that I didn't care before, but between quarterly results and the shareholders this and the shareholders that, I just said, give $10,000 donation. I don't have time to worry about it. Yeah. And that was happening a lot. But now there's things like well-being that young people are demanding in interviews even to know that you do it. So how do you view the role leaders are going to play now with respect to ensuring that the financial well-being is there, as well as the physical and the mental well-being is there for talent, but also that it's good for business, and also it's actually good for the community?
Yeah, I think one thing as a leader of an organization, you have direct control over the type of environment you create for your employees. Obviously, culture is a big part of that. What we feel has been fundamentally missed is the actual space itself. What is it? What is the space? What are the environmental conditions inside of an office? Can you put lighting in that can not only enhance productivity during the day, but enhance sleeping patterns at night? Can you have ultra purified air and water that can really address a concern like this with regards to the pathogen load in the air? So fundamentally, I think as leaders start to understand more that their buildings are a big part of their people, and what they do to their facilities and how they create space is a big determinant of how productive their people are, how engaged they are, how well they're retained. This particular event is a fraction of what the well-building movement's been all about, but it's come front and center as not only a nice to have at this point, but a must have.
Yeah, for all those reasons. I'll give an example. About 2 decades ago, Ryder has been a big client of mine, Ryder Trucks to Ryder Logistics and all that. And they had a lot of young families, and people were getting stressed out. It was becoming a thing in the world in Miami, where their world headquarters is, that they couldn't get people to come work there because it was like a sweatshop, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And it came up, well, how do we change this? And they would talk to us about it. And finally, long story short, they ended up building a daycare center and adding, what that time was probably not effective, but adding lights in different places, initially to show that they cared about them. But then they actually saw, holy cow, the stress level was down. People actually are enjoying work and things like that. Yeah. So even if they don't get it, they finally see as we're full circle that it actually does make a difference. It benefits so many ways.
Yeah, you can enhance all kinds of elements of not only health outcomes, but satisfaction and productivity just by altering very minor ways the environment that people are placed in. And so when you look at mapping these to respiratory, cardiovascular, immune, cognitive, sleep health outcomes, considering air quality, water quality, thermal, acoustics. There are great things here, not just messaging that we care, but actually real, tangible differences in how people experience their day and how they feel about the work they're doing.
Yeah, one last question on that, and actually related to them building a daycare center. There's going to be a lot more people working at home or both places and whatnot. What have you been hearing as to, like Twitter says, all their people can work at home now forever, basically?
Yeah, I mean, look, with any kind of event like this, you always get the extremes, and then ultimately you
Yeah.
find some balance. I do think people have felt, okay, there is an element certainly to productivity from home, and I think some good things will come out of this. Certainly, I think people have felt I haven't lost a thing with regards to productivity, particularly because they're glued to a Zoom screen or a phone all day long. So, benefits there, I think, less commute, what have you. What you lose is innovation, obviously, right? It's not like you're going to have that random conversation that will lead to some element of progress because you're not walking up and down a stairwell, or you don't have visible sight of people around you and that natural collaboration. That can never be replaced with
Yeah.
regards to office environments. But yeah, I think things like de-densification and more flexible scheduling are going to be positives that come out of this.
And maybe like the daycare center, maybe building things there. Maybe there's, maybe they're growing the food to eat, or maybe like, who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
With that.
Yeah, the unintended consequences or maybe intended consequences of all of this. I mean, hopefully we all come out of this with taking the things that we've learned and learned to do differently and putting them into that new normal.
So last question, let's pretend, do a little role modeling. I'm a graduate, kind of ticked off. I didn't have prom. I didn't have my graduating class, or the whole bit. And I come up to you and I say, with all this going on, what now? What do I do next? What do you tell me?
What do I do next? Well, I think you recognize that things change constantly. Nothing lasts forever, and you have to look at the at ways to learn and draw insights from any current situation, and make positive light out of that. Educate yourself if you have free time right now. Use it for good, as opposed to complaining how bored you may be. Better yourself in some way, shape, or form. I mean, there are going to be other times in your life where you don't have one single minute to do anything but something that you may not be completely inspired about. So take this opportunity to recognize how valuable that time actually is.
You might even create the next who knows what, right?
Could be.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Great to speak with you today, bud.